This is trading.
Order filled.
This is not a trader, but this year my goal is to go from complete newbie to funded trader. And there's only one rule to this challenge. I can't trade with my own money. I have to buy prop firm challenges to trade. Can I pass the challenge without blowing it up? Time will tell. But I'll be sharing all of my glorious wins, devastating losses, and mind-blowing lessons that I've learned along the way with you. So I was planning on starting this challenge with a completely fresh account and even showing the first trade, but in all honesty, I'm such a green newbie when it comes to trading, so I just didn't even know where to click on the platform or how to take a trade. So I thought, well, it's not going to provide much value at all, me fumbling around on the platform trying to figure it out. So I spent the past week learning the controls on the platform and taking both losses and wins here and there, figuring it out in the process. But this is now our starting point. So I've got a $50,000 topstep trading challenge. And essentially what that is it's a prop firm that gives you a challenge to pass in order to prove your profitability, and then you can start taking payouts after that, essentially. So to pass the challenge and reach that funded stage, I need to get the balance of that challenge up to $53,000. So being a complete newbie, I've got absolutely no idea how long this is going to take. First official trading day was on Monday. I took 3 trades and won all 3. The first 2 were just little rat scalps, one $10 and the other $15, but I did close both of these early because I didn't really like the way that price was moving. The third one was my first decent win, and it was also the first trade that I was actually pretty confident in taking. It was a bounce off resistance on gold after a big rejection to the upside on the 15-minute candle. I basically waited for that to retest and then flipped to enter, and it was really good. It basically went straight to my take profit for a $190 win. The next trade that I took was in Asia on Tuesday. It was a bounce off resistance on gold after it showed weakening to the downside. A green candle with a long bottom wick printed. When that closed small body green to the upside, I waited for the next candle to give a good retest and entered on the flip of the green. I actually closed this one early simply just because I saw $100 in profit. I probably should have held it a little bit longer because it did go and hit my TP after I did close it. On Wednesday, I took a trade in the New York session. Again, it was a bounce off support on gold. There was a green candle printed. I waited for a nice retest. It had a really good retest actually, so I entered on the break of the previous wick. And this turned out to be the perfect entry, and it went directly to my take profit for a $197 win, my biggest yet, so I was super happy with this trade. So after going through all of those trades, I can hear you saying, but Grant, how do you know when to enter a trade, where to put your stop loss, your take profit? How do you know how to trade? Well, I don't. That's the simple answer. I'm a complete green newbie at this. I'm still trying to figure it all out. This is just all I've learned in the last couple of weeks. Because trading is not something where you just wing it. I didn't figure it all out in the past week. I've still got lots to go. In fact, I had joined a mentorship program to help fast forward me to the point where I could be profitable much quicker. So if anyone's thinking about getting into trading, I highly recommend finding a mentor that you trust and going with them to try and teach you the ropes, because doing it by yourself I think is probably going to be almost impossible, at least in my opinion. And I will go into the strategy as the episodes go on, as I feel a bit more confident in what I'm actually doing with the trades, because I'm really just still figuring this whole thing out myself. So after the first 3 trading days, I am at a profit of $481 US. However, I did start using the platform to learn and made a number of mistakes over the past week in sells and buys and all sorts of mishaps. But at the end of the day, that is all going to count towards the P&L on the traded account, the funded account, before I can pass and get funded. So counting all that, bringing the total towards being funded to $132. That leaves only $2,867 to go. So the lesson I learned after those 2 first small wins was I realized I was actually looking at the dollar amount that the trade was up and not really whether the trade was a good setup or not. That's actually why I closed those 2 smaller trades early. They were actually a good setup. I was just focusing on securing a little bit of profit, which is nuts. And it actually hurt me in the long run because both of those trades did end up going all the way up to hit my take profit. So I guess the real takeaway from the past few days was to focus on taking trades that I'm actually confident in and not the money itself. So a lot of guys in the mentorship say that getting off the charts to do something that's completely different and forgetting about the market is essential for a clear mindset. And I pretty much do this anyway because my business has me in front of the screen a lot. Today we went for a hike in the national park along the Budai Coastal Walk, which packs in beaches, boardwalks, rainforest and sweeping ocean views. You can keep an eye out for wildflowers, migrating whales, and the PS Maitland shipwreck at Maitland Bay. With campgrounds at Putty Beach and Little Beach, it's the perfect walk to explore. There's even a section that looks like another planet. I keep expecting a bug from Starship Troopers to come out and attack me. Actually, forget about the bugs, maybe the waves are a little bit more scary.
Run!
But no, in all seriousness, this is a really good place to come and have a picnic and just relax. So Thursday was a bit of a slow day for me. I actually missed a banger NQ trade the rest of the mentorship guys took because I couldn't switch between my screens in time to place my buy stop and catch it. But I am still really new to this whole thing, so I'm sure I'll get it, it'll come with time. But I did catch a breakout on gold in the New York session. It was a little bit overextended, so I did wait for the next candle to close and it did reject to the downside heavily, which was quite bullish. It didn't look to have much strength, but it did continue to move up into profit, close to my take profit. So basically what I did is I moved my stop loss to break even, but it didn't look promising, so I trailed my stop loss halfway into profit instead of closing it, just to give it a chance to continue up and hit the take profit. But it didn't have the strength to continue, so it hit my stop loss for a profit of $67. So today being Friday, it was my last trading opportunity for the week. I took a bounce off support on gold, and then after a green candle printed, I waited for a retest, and it actually retested 2 times and looked really nice to continue up, and I entered on the break of the previous wick. But it basically went right back down into drawdown and fluctuated in that range for a good 10 minutes. Then it took me out at my stop loss for a $172 loss, unfortunately. But I have to say I'm not too disappointed with this loss. It was a really good setup and I'd definitely take this again given the chance. The only thing that I think I could have done a bit better was manage the downside a little better, because it was clearly losing strength and I actually did get the chance to close it at breaking even for a much smaller loss, but I didn't do it basically. Anyway, lesson learned. So where am I on the funded account after the first week? Well, I think I've made some pretty good progress. I had 4 green days and 1 red day on the Friday, which was a pretty decent loss. And then combine that with all of the mistakes I made in the previous weeks, which count to the P&L. It brings my total to $27.44 US dollars, of course. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the progress. 4 green days, 1 loss, and it's just brought the P&L down because of all the mistakes I made learning the platform itself. So moving forward, hopefully we can make some bigger jumps. So the main lesson I've learned after the first full week of trading is that it's not just about the trade you take, it's about how you manage that trade as well. Because after journaling all of the trades I took this week, it's really clear that I didn't manage those trades correctly, which resulted in smaller profits and a lot bigger losses, which actually could have been avoided. So I'm super glad I took my mentor's advice and started journaling all of my trades, because as you start looking back through all of the trades, you start to realize that, oh, okay, there is a pattern here. I am making the same mistake almost every single trade or every other trade, and you can start to correct it by journaling them and analyzing them and looking through what you've done wrong and what you can do better. And I actually take screenshots as well and keep them in the journal too, so that I can refer back to the actual trade itself. And you can see here on the journal, I've got sections here in the trade journal to put in the actual screenshots from the 15-minute, 30-minute and 1 hour time frames. And that really gives you a very clear picture, because you can't remember every single trade you took over the week or a month ago even. So you can start to look back and really improve your trading. So I suggest anyone who's looking to get started trading, that's my one real lesson, one takeaway from this week is absolutely, you got to start journaling them. So the game plan for next week is really just to try and get better at identifying when a possible setup is forming, and then also to have the confidence to take the trade and enter at the right time instead of second guessing myself all the time, which has happened heaps this week. Just very unsure whether it's a correct setup. The guys in the mentorship have been really good at helping us out on the voice chat. That's been really cool, but I need to know it myself. So that's the goal for next week. Thanks for tuning in. And if you want to follow along to see if I can get to become a funded trader, click that subscribe button and don't forget to like the video.